This is the Mid Combo Podcast with Paul and Ed, and we are back. Episode number 39. We are going to talk about the power of social cred. And Ed, what the heck does that mean?
Well, everyone knows what it's like to have that street cred, right? But when it comes to social media, it's a whole nother world. So does it really matter? Well, we're going to dive into that in this episode. Paul has a lot of knowledge to drop when it comes to social media and his experience. I also have some of my own stories. So it's just going to be an episode about social media because I know everyone trying to get a following now. But does it really matter?
No, and we'll see because we're about to dive into it. Let's roll that intro music. Yo, if you're watching on YouTube, because we have some YouTube viewers and listeners, your boy Paul has headphones right now that looks like telephone wires that are in his office right now.
You guys don't know this. Every single headphone pair that Paul owns is from Delta. You know those ones they give you when you're on the flight? Dude, Delta needs to sponsor Paul.
Bro, you got
with
it.
all
They're
the headphones
so
he'd
good.
be using.
They crush. I like AirPods, but I'm the type of guy where like my stuff is never charged. I'll be working out. I'll be like going to the gym. I'll put them in and like they're at 5% the whole time. I'm like, yeah.
Bro, you know when your phone is on 1% battery and then everything starts to start moving in slow motion? That's like Paul's everyday story.
Every time we're on the phone together. That's so good. So social cred. I feel like social media is such a huge topic when it comes to building any sort of freelance creative business. Even if you're not a creative, people talk about, doesn't matter how many followers you have, doesn't matter what you post. Some people literally spend all day struggling on what to post, right?
Well, I mean, dude, I just feel like this is a really relevant topic that we're about to dive into because I feel like when we've both been creating for a long time now, many, many years, but I feel like social media has quite literally changed so much over the last 2-3 years. It's almost suffocating. Like you got TikTok, you got Instagram, and now within those, you got like reels, you got posts, you got carousels, you got stories, you got YouTube coming out with shorts, you got Twitter trying to get into like the whole Clubhouse space with audio, and then you got Clubhouse. Like it's crazy overwhelming. But what I want to really dissect today is if it really matters, because so many people are investing so many of their time into these apps. But when it comes to being a freelance creative, running a successful business, how much of that actually has an impact,
I like that.
So yeah, I really want to dive into that today because some people struggle with that. I mean, I know in the beginning when I didn't have a following or when I didn't really view social media that seriously, I thought it was everything. Like I was like, oh, dude, because I don't have a following, I'm going to bust.
Yeah.
But
it's
not.
I'll be honest. Like I think today, if you don't have your portfolio on your Instagram or on your social media channels and you're trying to attract business or just be relevant, you're missing out. And also you're most likely going to find yourself in a tough position because I think it's the new resume for creatives. I personally, like after graduating college, I did not really care about how thick the resume paper was. I cared about how cohesive my Instagram was and my website was, and they spoke together. I'm curious for you, Ed, because you are like the social media guy with YouTube. I mean, I'm going to toot your horn a little bit, and you're going to be like, bro, stop. But like your YouTube, I met you through YouTube, and then we brought it to the DMs of Instagram. The rest is history. But like, how do you feel like your social media has made an impact on your business and your brand? Because I know you get DMs from people saying like, hey, Ed, I'm a freelancer. I'm just starting out. I'm trying to figure out like if I should really invest into like my social media channels.
Yeah. It's a really good question because I feel like there is no right way to go about doing anything in the social media world. Like, I mean, you're going to get people telling you all day long that they figured out the secret sauce only to find out a week later that sauce has changed. The algorithm is always changing. And so for me, how big of an impact it's had, I would say pretty massive though, which we can get into like the streams of income that we have and maybe how much money is coming in from social, but it snuck up on me because when I stopped, it sounds so cliche what I'm about to say, but when I stopped worrying about the numbers, like social media started to grow organically. And then before you knew it, like I felt like it was in a matter of 1 month where my inbox was dry with social media stuff. And then a month later, it was like packed where I'm getting like several people every single day trying to like get on the YouTube or get on Instagram or whatever. So it wasn't gradual. I literally feel like it was overnight. But when I look back at my whole journey, like over the last maybe like 5 or 6 years, it was a gradual, slow grind though. It just so happens I feel like I'm reaping all the benefits of all that, those years where nobody was commenting, nobody was following me, no brands were hitting me up.
Totally.
But the reason why I think the impact wise, the only thing I can really gauge it off of is the amount of income. Like followers don't really mean much, to be honest. Like I've told Paul this before, but like on YouTube, you could have 1 million subscribers and be getting like 1,000 views per video. Like it's possible. But you could also have 50,000 subs and start getting 100,000 views per video. It has nothing to do with the amount of followers you have. It has everything to do with the quality and the content and what you're producing. Because now when brands hit me up, because I don't have 1 million subs, but I'm producing quality videos that even some of these bigger YouTubers are not able to do. So now when brands come in, I'm like, yeah, my following is like smaller, but I'm about to charge you up the butt right now because you're looking to like highlight your product in a nice way. So it's just, like I said, there's no right way, but to answer your question, it has had a huge impact.
Oh, for sure. I mean, so I like what you said. One of the ways to measure the impact for you is the monetary value. So what was the conversion? Because I know there's a lot of KPIs, key performance indicators. It's a marketing word I learned in business school. In influencer management, people care about engagement. So it's like you can have the most followers, but what do your comments and engagement look like? I think you nailed it on the head, where if you're investing in a social media, the goal should be able to figure out what your ROI is and tie it to money or some sort of monetary value, because otherwise you're just kind of wasting your time, in my opinion. And I think it's just such an incredible tool, because I see it as like Instagram, for example, because I know we're talking about social as a whole, but Instagram is like the LinkedIn for creatives. And it's also the LinkedIn for brands that connect with their content partners. So, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to, I mean, I want to kind of break it down. Like, what are some things that we can talk about when it comes to social and how it ties directly with kind of what we do?
Well, I feel like if we were to get it more practical, to a more practical level of this episode, I feel like we should talk about when it comes to social media, right? Or your social cred, how should you prioritize your time and energy? Like what is the most important things you should focus on, right? So the reason why I say that is because the common mistake people make is right out the gate, they're thinking about how to be the most trendy, how to get like reels that pop off, which in a way is not the best approach if you're trying to build a creative business that's successful, that's based off of the aesthetic, that's based off of the quality. Like you don't want to go the other kind of cheap route. You know what I mean? So for you, like you said, Instagram is like your resume, right? So for you, obviously, the cohesiveness and the quality is super important. And the following maybe isn't as important as potentially who's seeing it and how they feel about what they're seeing. So let's go into a little bit of like the priorities. Like if you're trying to up your social cred, what are like the first couple things you should start focusing on? And how should you like approach that?
Yeah. Man, I don't think this sounds cliche, but like I'm reverse engineering to where I am today with my business. And I think it starts with being true to myself on social media. That's where street cred is the most valuable, because when brands connect with me, they're like, you are just like you are on social media. And I'll be honest, that's why I post family content. That's why I post brand work. That's why I post photos of myself where I'm like trying to add value to other creatives, because like that's who I am. If I can be honest, like years ago, I was looking at other photographers and other videographers in the industry, and I was straight up like ripping off their ideas because I'm like, oh, well, they like are popular. And I soon realized that like that didn't work out. Like that wasn't converting for me.
Yeah. Dude, that's a huge tip. Just be true to yourself on your Instagram, because or we talking about Instagram. Okay, we're probably gonna be referring to Instagram a lot in this episode, but this kind of goes as a whole to like all social media platforms. But yeah, I agree with you. Being true to yourself. Because when I met Paul for the first time, I was like, this dude is literally like how he was on his Instagram, which is good because I've also met the other end of that where I meet someone and we're like, okay, this dude is totally not what they perceive themselves to be on social, and it's a huge buzzkill, and that's a buzzkill for clients too. Like if you're like this super outgoing, super nitpicky, detail oriented person on your social, but then when it comes to the client process, you're like all over the place, you're super disorganized, you're totally like not pleasant to be around. That can have a huge impact on your business off of social media as well.
Yep, that's good. So foundation, I mean, if you want to agree with it, that's great. I think is being true to yourself online on any social platform.
That's the first thing.
I'm curious for you, like if we could almost look at it as like we're building a house, right?
Yes.
People are building their social cred or their social media brand to ultimately win business, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else comes to mind?
So if that's the foundation, right? Like that's where you should start. The second thing that people miss, bro, people missed what I'm about to say right now. Please, if you're going to post on social and you really want to play the game, provide some sort of value in your social posts. Like, do not be one of those people, those creatives who just post to post, like you're posting some Drake lyric. You know what I mean? Like, that is fine if that's how you want to do it. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but man, when I started changing my social media voice and just my overall presence to more value-based content where like people started to not just follow me because of the aesthetic. I mean, that's one part we'll get into, but like when people start to see like, oh wow, Ed's captions actually provide some sort of value. Oh, Ed's doing these things. Like he's trying to help, which I genuinely am. It started to grow more. Like the social cred, I guess, started to grow because now you're giving someone a reason to follow you outside of just the visual aspect of it. And that's powerful. Like if you can get them a reason to follow you outside of just what you can post visually, you'll start to garner a following. So
I love that.
Like value. That's the second thing is if we're trying to build this into like a whole house thing, value is the second piece you need to add on top of being true to who you are.
That's so good. Dude, I feel like that goes hand in hand with like who you surround yourself with, your circle, your network, the pack that you run with is going to have a direct influence on your social cred. And I mean, dude, look at TikTok. Look at Vine. Look at all these big social media platforms over the years. There's a reason why there's like TikTok houses and like Instagram. You know, like there's a reason why there's these like groups of people that are coming together and being like, hey, we have similar values. Let's like create content together.
Yeah.
And I think that's important because you got to be extremely selective with who you bring into your circle. And I think the same goes for if you're in high school or if you're in college or if you're in like the workplace. It's like, who are you hanging out with? And that's been a huge blessing to me because, I mean, Ed, me and you have been on projects together because social media brought us together.
Yeah, which is crazy.
And we picked each other and we're like, yo, we each have different skill sets. You're good at things that I'm not good at, vice versa. And it's just like we're growing our brands together and our social cred, which honestly, it seems when we say building social cred, it sounds like, well, these guys think they're like it, right? But I think there's a why behind it. And that's maybe the next thing is like, you got to have a why behind why you're spending time on social media and why you're building something on social media. Because I feel like that's essentially going to be like, I don't know, call it the compass that points north in your brand or in your business.
Yeah. I agree. I think having a why is important. Like kind of tying into the value-based post, you know, like of course you're posting value, but then you got to dig a little deeper and like, what is your why? Like you're posting value, but why are you posting value? Like what is your objective? I feel like that's a really good point because on social media, you can spend a lot of time on there as a user, like someone who just scrolls, but also you can waste a lot of time as someone who is actively posting as well. If you're that was me for so many years, dude. Like, and we've talked about this where I've like, you know, not a massive audience, but I just started to post, right? Like in the sense that it was value, but I didn't have a why. I was kind of just doing it because I thought this is what I should be doing. Yeah. But now I have an audience that I feel like I could, you know, do something with, but I don't have anywhere to send them. There's no why. There's no thing. Which is why we already leaked it a couple of times, and Paul's doing some stuff right now too. But coaching is a thing that we want to get into. It's like we want to get into creative coaching and help freelancers succeed and have like really awesome lifestyles and awesome businesses. And that's our why. So having a why tied to your social account is massive. Like that's a huge one for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like for me at least, it took years and years of honestly like dealing with a lot of comparison and struggling, like finding my own identity to come up with the why of, to add value to other freelance business owners and lift them up. But also, I want to team up with brands and companies that value content and also want to like use the content in a way that's going to like strategically make an impact for their brand. And I feel like those are things that everyone needs to grab a hold of if you're trying to use your social media to your advantage for going out and getting client work or just connecting with people.
And on that note, with getting into a little bit more of like the day-to-day, when it comes to social media, bro, I can't tell you how many times I have gotten gigs or gotten inquiries from the DMs. Like it's so easy. And this has nothing to do with my following, guys. Like think about it like this. Your Instagram looks good. You have a YouTube video that you could link them. Bro, I just be sliding into DMs of brands that I want to work with. I've even reached out to brands as big as like LG. And they like, I've just been basically saying in the DM, super short, where it's like, hey, I'm a Seattle-based filmmaker and photographer. Please click on my account. You can check out some of my work. And here's this video link. Bro, for the social media manager, right? That will literally take them maybe 30 seconds to view very quickly all that stuff. They can make a quick judgment on whether or not they're going to give you an email address so you can reach out to them.
Yep.
Now, but let's say you email them. Let's say you don't DM them. You go to the email route. Now you're probably in a mix of emails where a bunch of other people have already emailed them. 2, they have to actually take time out of their day to go visit your accounts, go visit your socials, find your YouTube link. Like you could link stuff in an email, but I don't know why. When I'm on the DMs, I'm so much more inclined to click on something. I'm curious when it's in the DMs, if someone links me something. But when it's on my email and brands link me stuff, I'm like, it's just another email. And I sometimes don't even click on the links. So it's the same way on the brand end.
That's huge. Because if you're listening to this and you're like, I feel like I'm lost when it comes to social media, but I have a brand and I feel like I have a portfolio that speaks well to my work. Go out and like DM people, but do it in a way that's genuine and not a template. But then also just know that like you can be discovered on social media, and most brands or most decision makers are going to spend at most 3 seconds looking at your page before they make a decision to like either respond or reach out to you. So I think those are just like 2 things that you have to consider, because I'll be honest, I get a lot of templated DMs from brands, and then also from just like freelancers that are trying to like pick my brain. And I coached this years ago. Send a personalized video through DMs.
Or a voice message.
Or a voice message. That a couple years ago, Entrepreneur Magazine came out and said Facebook Messenger and Instagram DMs has the highest open rate.
Oh.
So use it.
That's a fire tip.
I want to ask you some questions that I feel like you've never answered before.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Because when I look at my social media, I've definitely gained work from, having my social media laid out the way that I do. It's helped me in my coaching. But I feel like I can't really tell you like in a given year how much money comes through my social media, whether it's affiliate marketing or like if a brand reaches out to me through my email or through my website, I typically don't ask them like, where did you find me? I cut right to the chase. I'm like, yo, let's hop on a phone call. So I personally can't directly correlate business to Instagram all the time. But for you, I mean, you're on YouTube, you're on TikTok, you're on like every channel, and you're using it for brand partnerships too. So it's like, not only do you have the bucket of coaching, you have the bucket of brand partnerships, and you have the bucket of client work. What does that look like for you in your business? And do you think followers matter in that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think my viewpoint has changed on this over the last couple of years. I think when I was also I'm still a small creator, but when I really had like no following, I was always rooting for the underdog. I was always the person saying like, oh, you don't need a following to work with your favorite brands, which to a certain degree, I still do stand by that. But I will say, when you do have a following, even if it's like me, where I have like under 100 on both YouTube and Instagram, more followers do mean more money. It's just how it goes, you know? And it's kind of a blessing and a curse, because when you're a creative, you sometimes just want to work with a brand just to create content for them. But the thing is, when you start having a following, like now brands want to work with you on the content, but then they're also kind of like, can you please like post us as well? Because we see that you have a following. Can you like post it on your YouTube? Can you post it on your Instagram? And I'm like,
little upsell.
Yeah, I'm like, can we just like work together and I don't have to post anything?
Yeah.
And those kind of gigs are like far and few in between now. Like now it's very separated. And now I have client work that I do that's strictly I create content for these brands. I don't have to talk about it. And then I have this whole other bucket, which is what we're talking about, which is social media, where I'm only making money because I'm talking about the product. And obviously for me, I try to bridge that gap. There's a lot of clients that I've worked with that, because they thought the quality that I created for the influencer side was high quality, now they're interested in working together from the production side. They're like, oh, can we actually maybe just send you product and just get you some in-house stuff that we can use for email or for YouTube or whatever, right? So I think for me, I would say last year though, if we're to get down into the weeds about it, last year was the first year I really, really tried to scale my influencer side of my business, I guess you could say.
Hey, I like influencer ed.
I don't, dude. That thing is stressful, dude. Honestly, I'm telling you guys, like I'm still navigating that world, but it was really mind blowing to me because we'll give you. I think I told you this Paul before already, but what really pivoted for me, bro, was when I made that desk wire management video.
Wow,
remember that video? I don't know if people are listening to this, but like I basically made a video on how to cable tuck, bro. No cap, that Amazon affiliate link on that one video. I looked at my accounting because we just did taxes. That one video brought me in $28,000.
What?
Yep. That's just from the affiliate link. That's not even from the YouTube rev or the number of brands that have found me through that video, all that kind of stuff. But it's crazy because I'm actually at a point now where I feel like if I really tried to and own like becoming a quote unquote full-time YouTuber, I could do it. I'm not going to do it because, going back to what we talked about, that's not my why. My why does not lie in becoming like a YouTuber. Yeah. But when it comes to actual income, I would say now that I have a following, even if it's small, bro, the money that these brands dish out, bro, it's absurd. It actually makes me mad. It kind of triggers me, to be honest, because I struggled so hard as a freelance content creator, and I still do sometimes, like trying to get these brands to agree for production gigs. But when it comes to the influencer world, because it's so new, because like these algorithms are changing every day, some of these brands that have money, bro, they're throwing a stupid amount of money at things that I don't think are working. From a brand's perspective. Wow. But they'll just throw out money. They'll throw out like literally like 5-figure digits on projects for like a YouTube integration. Wow. And I'm like, what the? I can't even get brands to agree to this without having like 3 Zoom calls and 2 contracts, bro.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to give away dollar amounts, but I'm definitely curious, like, I mean, obviously it's all over the map when you get messaged for YouTube, like brand partnerships and plugs and stuff. But I feel like what you're speaking to is important for people that are like, hey, I'm trying to figure out if I should get on YouTube, if it aligns with my why.
Yeah. We can get into the dollar amounts. I actually think it'd be interesting for people listening we can like keep it real and talk about the money side, because it does. I mean, I personally love videos and content when they're talking about like the money. Like I love those videos where it's like, this is how much money I made in a year. And it's
cool.
it's super insightful because it's a good gauge of like where you should be allocating your time and like what is valuable, you know? So,
I mean, what's the average? Like, what's the average today that you're getting paid per brand plug on a YouTube video?
I would say right now, like I don't take anything under 2,500 for integration.
Wow.
So integration is like, there's in the brand world for YouTube, there's two different types. There's a dedicated video and integrated video. Integrated videos are obviously what they are. They're just integrated into a topic that you're already talking about. A dedicated video, which is, even though they pay more, I personally don't like dedicated videos because all you're doing is talking about a product, and it pays well, but it's also not what I want to do long term. But yeah, I mean, right now the minimum is like 2,500. But I was just telling Paul, like, there's a brand that I recently started working with, or I have a video coming up, and they wanted to do an integrated video, and the budget was around 5 Gs, right?
Wow.
5 Gs for I think 1 to 2 minute integration. And then we were kind of dancing on the idea of doing a dedicated video. And I threw out the number. I was like, bro, I just threw it out. I was like, I want 10 grand. I want 10 grand to do a dedicated video where I only talk about your product. And they were like about to do it, but then they kind of got cold feet because they're like, we never worked together before. They don't know if it's going to work. But this is the key though. It wasn't out of the question though.
Yeah.
And for me, that was mind blowing. Like the fact that a brand was willing to pay almost $10,000 for a video. And keep in mind, guys, my channel, I only have 50,000 subs. 50,000 subs. So just put that into perspective. Imagine how much money these people who have 250, 400, 500, or 1 million subs, like these brands are paying these people probably upwards between like 20, 40, 50, $60,000 for one video. Like Peter McKinnon, right? I don't know exactly for sure, but just based off of what I see and
he's
just
making
other
good money on each video.
Dude, he's probably making like multiple 5 figures from one video. Like he recently did a kind of a dedicated type video, and I was like, dude, I don't even want to know how much the brand paid for this. The dumb amount.
I want to go back to the $5,000 average integration for YouTube that you get. You spend a lot of time on these videos though. People that are listening, I know because I know you, but man, you like sometimes are script writing them. You're spending all day, if not 2 days. I know for some of these shoots, there's days that you like turn on the camera and you're just not feeling it. And you're like, okay, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, pretty much, dude. Pretty much.
So like, how much time do you spend on the pre and post production for this?
Dude, it's crazy, actually. When I actually think about it and take a moment to reflect, for an integrated video, if it's a topic that I'm passionate about and I want to talk about it, the actual like production time from planning it to shooting it to editing it to going through the YouTube thumbnail and description, dude, to be honest, I probably spend like 25 hours on a video.
Wow.
25 to 30 hours total, which honestly is a lot considering the amount of money that I'm charging clients for like a 3-hour shoot.
Yeah.
Let's say, right? Plus like maybe a 2-hour edit. So like, to be honest, it's a lot of time and effort that I'm putting in that a lot of people don't see, which is why I think the barrier to entry for YouTube in particular is way, way harder. Because on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitter, on all these other platforms, like, bro, you could film with your iPhone, bust it out, and just making some snazzy reels and start getting a following.
Yeah.
Right? But with YouTube, that's not the game, bro. Like, you actually have to be good at it. Like, you actually have to know storytelling. You have to know what get clicks. You actually have to try on YouTube.
I mean, you do your research on keywords.
Yeah. Like, I make my videos based on the title that I've researched. Like, I'll never just make a video because it's something that I think will do well. Like, I'm only going to shoot the video after I've done research that I think it will do well, and then I'll make the video. But yeah, I mean, dude, I spend a lot of time on the videos, which kind of is interesting because going back to the influencer side of things with brands paying money for that, I don't think this is interesting because I don't think the amount of money that I get from these brand deals would change if I was scrappy as heck with it and just took only 2 hours to make the video. I think the money would be exactly the same, to be honest.
Yeah.
But just going back to my why and going back to just why you do what you do and who you are. Like, it's just not in my nature to be scrappy and just put something out that's like not good quality. So it's kind of bad because I put too much pressure on myself. But at the same time, I think in the long run, it will pay off though. And that's why kind of brands will want to work with me, because I don't just skimp out on the process, you know?
I'm like connecting the dots here because I mean, what you do on YouTube, what you do with clients, what you post on social media, that's educational. It all ties together because it's cohesive, it's consistent. I always tell like photographers and videographers, if they ask like about social media, I'm like, your social media brand should look like one cohesive painting, and brands are going to hire you because they want the type of content you're producing, or they want the look that you produce for your own brand. I'm attracted to people, even like yourself. I connected with you through YouTube and Instagram like a year ago because I'm like, this dude, his brand is so like put together. So I know how you work with clients. And when we worked with clients together, you're so organized and you know exactly like how to pre-pro for that. And it's just like, that is what makes up having powerful social cred, in my opinion, is being able to have the whole package. And to be honest, like my social media following, if I compare it to yours, our followers are so different, man. Like the people that follow me, I'll be honest, my numbers have been staying the same for a long time. And I really don't even get clients from social media, and I don't really do brand partnerships or activations of that matter. But what I can tie to it is when I'm working with clients, they are constantly, you know, touching, like they're essentially bringing up like specific things that I posted on social media that they could relate with, where they're like, yeah, we booked you because we wanted something like that. So I just think it's interesting because I do think followers help with credibility. I mean, there's a reason why like we follow these big TikTokers that are crushing it, but I think if we bring it down, it's like your brand and like who you are and your why is what's most valuable with the social cred. And then you obviously need to make money off of what you're putting out. Yeah. And that's if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in it for the business aspect.
Yeah. And to add to what you're saying about the building off of the why and the foundation, I think for you, because you're right, we do have totally different like approaches. It's so interesting because you guys probably can listen on these podcasts that we have. Like me and Paul are very similar in a lot of things, but if you actually like took a good look, we're actually really different in a lot of things as well. And like social is one of those areas where when I first met Paul and his social, I felt the same way, where I was like, dude, this dude is like mad consistent. And even like when you go on things like Behance, you'll see like some of Paul's work that like popped off, you know? And I think going into the foundation, if you're trying to get all like illustrative here, but like the house, right? Let's say you're building a house, you have a good foundation, the inside looks good, but if the outside of your house looks run down, like it's like no one will ever see how good the inside is. Yeah. So I think for Paul, like I think what you were getting at was so many brands have got their foot in the door because of the way you appear on social and because of your account, because it's fire. Like you come to your Paul's account, if you're a health and fitness brand and you come to Paul's IG, that's like, bro, this is fire. This is what I need, you know? And so they reach out to you. So I feel like if we're going into social cred, there's the building blocks we've been talking about. One of them that has to be on there is the overall aesthetic and approach that you take with your social. It's like how it looks. Like Paul said, it's like cohesive. It all comes together. That's what ties it all together. And what's important about that is keep in mind, guys, that everything we're talking about with social cred so far, which is the why, the foundation, the aesthetic, all of them have zero impact with like your following. They have nothing to do with having followers or not having followers. These are all things that are in your control.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, the majority of my followers are from high school and college. I don't know why they're still following me. I'm like, yo, you guys are like school teachers, or like you guys are working 9-to-5 jobs and it's not a creative industry. But I'll like run into old friends at weddings and they're like, bro, that picture you took. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, bro, I follow you on Instagram. Which brings me to, and we can kind of wrap this up here shortly, but there's a lot of people watching, but they might not always say something. So that's something you got to keep in mind when you're trying to build your social media game, regardless of platform, is you brought up Behance, which I consider a social media platform. There's TikTok, there's all these social media platforms. You're not always going to get engagement, comments, activity, but just know that there are people watching that might be your next client, but those people just might not be saying something by commenting or engaging right away. And that's something that I believe I can contest to with my business is I just landed one of my biggest projects ever from a client that's just been watching. Like they told me they connected with me 4 years ago on social media. I didn't even know this. And then fast forward to now, they're like, you moved to Miami and we feel like having your aesthetic and your style shot in Miami with your network and your circle is gonna help launch our brand. And
yeah,
I think that's so powerful to like point out because like, again, I don't have that much engagement. All the comments honestly are probably Ed, Corey Jenkins, and everyone that's been on this podcast.
No,
but yet like my business is thriving and I feel like I can tie social media to it. Hence why I'm spending so much time on it.
Yeah. No, it's so true because you guys don't know this, but like Paul, he does, I don't know, maybe you don't notice from his social because maybe he's not posting like every single day. He's not like super on it 24/7, but the amount of work that this man does is crazy. Like the work ethic behind the social is insane. And Paul is a perfect example of someone who uses social as a tool and not as like a crutch. Like they're not relying on social by any means.
Yeah.
You know, which is you. Like you with like tomorrow, if you woke up and social media just absolutely just imploded and you have no, like everything just disappeared, you would still have, like your business would probably have little to no impact. Like you would still be running a thriving creative business.
Yeah.
And that says a lot about what you're doing and what you're building, which is one point I just want to add too is figure out what it is that you actually want. You know, because if you don't, it's kind of your why, but if you don't care to be a personality, you don't care to work with brands and being like, oh, I've worked with this brand and that brand and this brand, like you don't care about that kind of stuff, then social media is not the game, like is not the game for you. Like you don't need to worry about that. There's so many millionaires and billionaires out there that don't even know what Instagram is. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah.
So it's like figure out what it is you want. But if you do care about eventually wanting to maybe be a YouTuber, or you want to actually be in front of the camera, or you want brands to approach you and say they want to pay you to talk about their product, then yeah, social media does matter. But I think people don't actually make that distinction. They just think like, oh, social, gotta get on it. This is important, without actually thinking about why it's important.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's so good.
That was good, bro. I feel like we could probably wrap it up, but just to recap, like what are so when it comes to social cred, we talked about I think 4 things that you need to really dive into, and that's you said the first one.
Yeah, understanding your why and your purpose.
Yeah, understanding your why.
That's huge. What's number 2?
Staying true to yourself is a big one. True to yourself.
Was 3 making sure
value
that you
based.
can.
I think it was value based.
I think
posting.
the value base is huge. Like value base, and then I think also in there is making sure that there's some sort of goal or outcome that you're trying to like hit. To be honest, like if you're just like wildly posting and you're trying to like build something without knowing where it's going, or like there's no goal in mind, whether it's I don't really want to make money, but I'm just going to keep posting. That's fine. But like I said, I feel like if you're a freelance business owner, you got to start tying like goals to specific things that you spend time on, because I'll be honest, I spend so much time on social media that I need to make sure that it's contributing to my business success.
Yeah. Yep. So be true to yourself, have a why and a goal and a purpose, and drop value. Don't just post some Drake lyric, Hotline Bling lyric. And lastly, the last thing, which I think you and I are big on, we cannot forget about this. Bro, your stuff has to be aesthetic, bro. If it's not if it doesn't look good,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be really hard to use social media to your advantage. Like at the end of the day, people, you know, I know Instagram and TikTok and all these places, they're like changing their approach, right? Like they're rewarding creators who neglect aesthetics because they just want engagement.
Yeah.
But I'm going to still stay true to it. And I know Paul is too. Like, you're not going to catch us just like posting some crap photo ever or some bad video or some, like, don't go down that route.
If we do, DM me and like send help. Cause I'm with you, man. Like, you got to stay true. You got to keep it clean. You know, part of the reason why I'm not on YouTube yet is because I don't feel peace about it and I don't want to like force it. Right.
Exactly.
So I want to stay true to like, And and I think that is so valuable for freelancers that are like up, like trying to grow their business, but also freelancers that are like crushing it, making good money, but are hitting like a ceiling in their business where they're like, I need to do something different, or I need to expand my reach on social. That's good.
Yep. So if you guys are listening to this, up your social cred, bro. Up your social cred.
Social cred. Yo, it's like street cred, but social cred. And if you're still listening to this episode, yo, shoot us a DM on Instagram at midconvo, and we want to know how you like this podcast episode.
Yeah, tell us some of your social media pain points. We'd love to hear some of your pain points when it comes to social media. Like what part of the process when it comes to social is very difficult for you. I think that would be very valuable for us to know.
Hey, before we end this, Ed, we haven't even discussed this yet, but me and Ed have been hinting at a workshop together. All right?
Ooh, yeah.
Summer's coming. If you're listening and you love the mid convo, if you love what Ed puts out, if you follow me, we might even come to your city, but we're thinking about Seattle first. We might do it in Miami. Shoot us a message and be like, yo, this is where we'd love for you to do an in-person podcast episode, but also turn it into a full day workshop where we get to even have lunch together, all the things.
Dude, that would be sick. Yeah, hit us in the DM, guys, because if there's enough people, me and Paul, we're going to look for excuses to go travel to you guys and go have a workshop. So
that'd be fun.
That would be super fun. But thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.
Until next time.
Peace.